Hello everyone, I'm showing some audio. I'm always going to wait at this point. I've had a couple hiccups on the series. Let me know you can hear me before I get really going, but I'm pumped. I did the math. Not really. I did glancing math. We are at 10 plus hours on an Electra circuit. This is hilarious. 10 plus hours looking at this circuit. I love this. I'm such a nerd. I got the clear on the audio. Um, I'm gonna be able to commit at least an hour and a half. That puts me at 5:30 Central Standard for a pretty hard out. Family time. I have a dinner planned, but I'm here with you for an hour and a half, and we are going to open up a fresh Copper Sound Pedals breadboard, and I'm gonna start from scratch on the basic circuit. Because you've been seeing me the last few times use this like horribly ridiculous, like just messy breadboard. So if you're not aware, I don't have any sort of affiliation with any kind of monetary advantage here. They're not paying me is what I'm saying. I love this stuff. Coppersoundpedals.com, check it out. This is the, what size is this one? This is the small. So they have all these different sizes. I'm going to do a small today, and the idea is basically I'm going to roll with this standard schematic, and we're going to walk back through. In a lot of ways this is a refresher, and I want to make some statements. Yes, this is all about making a Electra a germanium transistor device, right? A circuit using germanium, and that's cool. Germanium's old, it's finicky. We love the word germanium. It's in all the old fuzz faces, all the old tone benders. It's exciting, right? It's finicky, it's complicated. It's kind of like Pro Tools or some other software that hates you when you go to use it. That's how germanium is. Any Adobe people out there, you know, there's always the update, it doesn't work, and you're like, my God, I just need to edit. That's what germanium's like, but when it works, it's so glorious. So we're gonna start on a fresh breadboard here, and we're just gonna build this classic schematic. I do want to back up, and I want a quick refresher. The Electra, this is the first schematic ever of what is considered the distortion. Electra distortion. You're going to notice though, it's not really here. Like this was a module that went into a guitar. That's the input. If you look up the Electra MPC guitar, you'll see these cartridges that go into it and such. But the point is, this is what it is. And if you've watched this series, I've raved and raved and ranted and ranted. This is a textbook circuit. You go in to the base of the collector, you have an emitter resistor, you have a collector resistor, you have a feedback loop right there. These capacitors set the frequency. This is not rocket science, but this is where it started. Then, age of the internet, someone, it's actually clipped off of here and I regret that, but a person posted this. And what did they do? Well, they took the same thing, but they added this. And this is key. This is hard clipping. They added 2 diodes, and then they added a master volume. And that changed the game here. It's essentially the same circuit that was in the MPC as a boost. If you remove what I just circled, it's just a boost. We learned this already. You did the LPB with me. We're on like episode 11 here. But we're going to build this out, and I'm just going to, you know, I've gone through all these variations. I got Mr. Scribbles here. We got the Copper Sound version. That's cool. They added, here's their clipping. There's a rat tone control. There, yeah, it's cool. It's great. This is where I landed as of 5/3/24 is what the date says. So I was messing around. I got these like series capacitors. We got that fun tone control everybody seems to love. We got a weird gain network down here. So you've been tracking along. You're with me. And here's the infamous Uncle Earl's Tone Daddy pre-cap blender. All of you seem to love. You're going to see this incorporated in my final design. This is my tone control, kind of bass emphasis control to blend capacitors. But all that said, we're just going to jump in here and build this from scratch. I have all the cameras up this time. We're going to just try to get through it. And the point of this is, I'm not going to make some unbelievably perfect germanium Electra. I'm going to build the Electra again, piece by piece, and I'm gonna then show you what the crap to look for with germaniums. So I have a gajillion germaniums on this end of this here that I've chosen because they have specific gains I like. There's also this grab bag I keep on my bench. It's just full of random stuff. I mean, I have OC71s, AC128s. I got a lot of, like, you know, holy ground type stuff in here. And I'm just going to show you why. I'm just going to show you how to measure them, how to get into the mind of the germanium and go from there. I think Boki's in here, maybe Copper Sound's in here. I don't know. But we're going to have a good time. Be kind to each other in those comments. And this is like hour 12 is where it's going to be insane. And y'all are all awesome. So the first thing is you need the breadboard. You can do any breadboard, but man, these Copper Sounds are nice. So here's my input. This is coming from my guitar. My desk setup is a little strange. It's not strange. I have a switchback here, and I can hit a red remote, and that switchback gives me the truly bypass signal straight to my amp, or I can engage the breadboard. So I can turn it on and off. Now, they have that built in, which is really nice. Here's where your power goes. So see, this Copper Sound stuff is solving a problem. There's out to my amp. You can't really see it. Well, you can. My signal path is MIG 50, kind of cranked, not really, and just an aux box direct into a mixer. So sounds good. It's good for this. Let's get cooking, as they say, I guess. I don't know. I love Doc Eyebrow says there has to be at least 3 cups of coffee worth of transistors in there. Yeah, 3 cups. That's like 5 cups of coffee. All right. Now, we're going to build a germanium version of this. We're not going to get really hung up on all the little details of what tone shaping does and all that, because I've covered that in other stuff. Just reiterating, I've shown you how to make more or less bass already. I've talked about diodes already. I've talked about everything to do with the circuit to the extent of, like, I can't even describe how much I've talked about it. And you know this. So today is just about how to insert germaniums, what germaniums work, and how to tune it, and what to consider in that path, and what makes everything come together and work great. All right, here we go. So let's just start and build it out first. So we're going to go through this piece by piece. Let's start with let's start with the 0.1 capacitor. Let's pull that out. Let's think about that. I have a little thing of El Pato brand tomato sauce can, and I keep all my wires hanging off of it like this. And yeah, so I need to pull a yellow wire from the input. Now the reason this matters is that is where your input comes in, and then this goes right there. Let's see. I'm actually going to send a quick text. Someone's like moving furniture upstairs. Let's see here. I'm saying loud noises in kitchen. All right. This is the life of doing live streams from home. All right. Now that first cap right here, I'm going to circle in red every time. Well, I'm going to mark off what I do. So that 0.1 goes here, and I'm going to put that cap from that point to that point. So I have gone right into that cap. I also need to ground this, and I like putting a ground over to my scope, which I may or may not use later, but it just helps with noise. So we have that. Let me get a black wire here, and let's see. Let's put that ground here, and we need to put it on the ground path. So that ground rail. I also need to do power. Get all this done. I have the input on the wrong one. That's great. Input is actually down here, y'all. So that's your input. That touches the tip of this jack. That's going to my first line in the schematic. Ground right here goes to the blue line. And then VCC means positive. So that's our positive 9 volts. And we're going to put that right there. Okay. So that's like all my wiring is basically done. But I do end up using these bottom a lot. Like I use them a good bit. So I'm going to go ahead and jumper that. And again, this is a little bit of a refresher because you deserve it. I'm going to jumper the power from the top to the bottom. So I have this available. A breadboard is only as good as it is. You have to hook it up is what I'm saying. You have to like actually hook things up to use it. So it's all pretty, but we got to do the connections. Here's the ground. All right. So our breadboard is fully functioning. When I flip that on, we're going to be rolling here. So, all right. Now I have that first cap in place. I want to go ahead and place the transistor. Now, for the sake of getting this working, I am going to do a basic silicon transistor. I'm going to do a 2N222 because it's literally just what I picked up here. It's just a transistor. This is what's going to matter today. This circuit is and has to be NPN. Whether you use silicon or oh my gosh, Josh can't write, or germanium. Either way, that's what you have to do. So your first question is, how do I know what to buy? Any germanium transistor that's NPN will work in this circuit. If you buy PNP, that's a different polarity. That's like the old fuzzes or the powers backwards and all that. NPN, that's your first answer. A lot of you are going to ask that. Any germanium that's NPN works totally fine. It may not be enough gain, HFE, which we'll get into, but it's going to work. So let's start there. All right, let's add this transistor. I want to put this transistor in a place that's kind of on its own over here because I'm going to be switching it out a bunch. So I'm going to put it on like the front row seat of a Bon Jovi concert right here. I don't know why I chose Bon Jovi. It just felt radical. Here we go. So that's where I'm at. I'll lean it in a little so you can see the shape. That's our emitter base collector. Okay? Emitter base collector. So I see on the schematic that this cap goes right through here to the base. So I need to connect that cap to the base. Let's do that right now. And I'm going to do it a little quick and dirty. I'm going to use these jumpers. Copper Sound sells these. You can make it a lot neater if you do little wires like this, but we're not fretting about that. I'm going to connect right there. That's the other end of that cap. Again, bending it where you can see it. And then I'm going to put that to the base. All right. That's our first part. Okay. Now we might as well install this feedback loop, 2 meg 2. So 2 meg 2 is a big boy resistor. It's a big one. We can play with this value. Essentially what this does is it allows current flow, or proper definition, leakage, to happen between the base and the collector. So if I go to the color blue here, it is a type of feedback loop in itself. It's allowing the base and the collector to circulate current. Okay. So let's put that where it goes. In this case, I'm going to like do the bend where you stand it up a little, but I'm actually going to clip it off because it's just a lot cleaner. So I'm going to take this right here, and I'm just going to clip this off evenly. So the two legs are like the same. Throw that one in the trash. Okay. So let's do that. And I just need that resistor to go between, it's the 2 meg 2. It needs to touch the base and touch the collector. All I'm doing is I'm putting it right there. Bam. Right there it is. Ka-chow, as Lightning McQueen would say. You can tell I have children. All right. Let's go ahead and put the emitter 680 ohm. Notice the R, that is ohm. I'm using blue ink, and that really bothers me. I want to use red ink. 680 ohm to ground. All right, so 680 ohm to ground. I'm going to look up here, 680 ohm. Now, we've learned a lot about this position. I don't have a 680. Don't really care. I'm going to use a 630. Doesn't really matter at all. So I'm going to take this 630 ohm. Now, we've learned a lot. You don't have to use this. You can just go straight to ground, and that's going to be the most gain. It's going to push the transistor pretty hard. It's going to work fine. It's a choice. If you want, it's going to be more temperate to temperature. Temperate to temperature makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. It's going to be more susceptible to heat, cold, that kind of stuff. It's going to make it unstable. But we learned, I showed you in those textbooks, you can do that. It's fine. A lot of designs do it. I'm going to put this in here for stability, and we might mess it up and change it. But the emitter is here, and there is ground. Okay? Emitter to ground right there. Let's drop it in, and I'll spread it out a little. Bam. Perfect. Look at that. It's gorgeous. I don't know what accent that is. That was like a weird, creepy Austin. I guess Austin Powers is creepy. If you think Austin Powers is creepy, say so in the comments. Next, let's go ahead and put in this collector 47K. Now we learn that this 47K here from the collector, again, this is your collector right here. So I'm going to run a 47K over to the red power because that's what the schematic says to do. Now we learned, again, this is a variable part. You can put a potentiometer here. You can play around with it. It's setting the bias of the circuit. This is a one transistor circuit, so it is setting the bias. Everyone agrees that he's creepy, and everyone's saying, they're all saying, yeah, baby, yeah. That is a truly bad movie that for some reason is good. There's so many great comments. All right, let's put that right here. It's the collector to 9-volt positive. Let's just put it right there in place. Ka-chow. Mater would be happy. I don't know. I'm on a Cars thing. I'm really playing. There's like there's a cinematic lean in my conversation today. We're covering Austin Powers and Cars. I'm sorry. All right. What do we do next? Well, this circuit's so simple, literally. Let's put the final coupling or frequency capacitor. These capacitors right here in blue, they decouple the input and output, so AC doesn't touch stuff. Like you don't have any interference with your instruments and stuff like that. It also sets the frequency. So let's put that in 0.1 right off of this bridge. You're going to notice a lot of, I call it an intersection. That's probably what everybody else calls it. Right here is like an intersection, right? So we want to just make sure it touches that intersection. No particular order. It's the collector of the transistor. So let's put it right here on the collector. I'm going to spread it out a little. Put that other end way over there. I like spread it so that the end is, just giving some space because it gets crowded. I'm actually going to move it up. I moved it up here. I want to keep that out of the way. I don't plan on necessarily playing with those. Here we go. Let's see. All right, so now we have our output. Now, for testing purposes, let's just skip the diodes for a second. We'll come back to these. And let's go ahead and put in that pot. You know that I do not want to use an audio linear pot. I'm going to use an audio taper pot. I'm going to use a linear pot. So I have a B100K here. B100K linear pot gang. Remember, we had this joke like 9 years ago because this series has been going that long. Let's put this in here. I'm going to put it like right there, just out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and put a knob on it because it makes me feel better about my life and all the choices that I've made. Put that knob on there so we can see. Focus it in. Ka-chow. Lightning McQueen. Man, I need something. All right, I'm obsessed with Lightning McQueen today. It's it's like the earworm of my life is Lightning McQueen right now. All right, output cap. Look at this green line here on the schematic. We're going to come from the cap here. We're just going to bypass these diodes and go straight out. Okay, that's what we're doing. We're going to put lug 1 to ground. Lug 2 is the output. Lug 3 of that pot. Ooh, okay, lug 3 is the input. Let's do that. So I'm going to come from this capacitor, the output coupling capacitor. I'm going to go into lug 3. How do you know which is lug 3, Josh? When you're looking at a potentiometer, you hold it up like this. You look at the back of it. When you look at the back, that's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay? So when you're looking at the back, that's how you tell. All right. So going into lug 3 here. Okay. And we're going to use another blue wire. I like color coding. It just helps my brain because I have that brain. If lug 2 is output, I'm going to use that. I'm going to jump all the way over here to that output thing on the board. I plugged it in right over here because that goes to that jack. Now, this jack's grounded because I grounded it over here with the input jack. Now I have this hanging lug 1. This is a situation some of you have asked. I answered it yesterday. You got to ground your output. You got to ground certain potentiometers. You can't just leave it hanging. So you want to ground here because that's what actually turns the volume down. So this circuit should work. Will it work? I always doubt it. Let's see here. It helps when you turn your amp on. All right, it's on. It doesn't work. So let's look at it. Troubleshooting 101. Let's think about our life choices and decisions. Let me make sure I'm not crazy. That's my bypass. Let me just double check. Okay. This is the stuff you do. It happens to the best of us. That's definitely my input because I have a tone generator. I can switch. I have a little AB box here. Yeah, let's look at this. Let's walk through it very slowly. Input goes to the cap. From the cap to the base of the transistor. Base collector. Collector goes to power. Emitter, capacitor, also resistance emitter to ground. Emitter, capacitor here. That goes over to lug 3. Lug 2 goes to output. Lug 1 goes to ground. That really should work. Let's see here. The greatest way to learn is to have things not work. That's like electronics 101. So I encourage you in your failures to stay calm and just look. VCC, 9 volts, 9 volts, ground to ground. Is everything plugged in? Ground going to ground, ground to ground, power to power. Okay. So you just got to stay really calm. That's all you got to do. All right, let's get a multimeter here. Let's look at a couple things. All right, let's go to voltage. Let's plug this in the ground. Let's see if we have voltage. 9, that's supply voltage, as you all know, a 9-volt power supply. So that's coming from my Voodoo Labs. I have power, right? Power everywhere. Now, Something is off. Something is not wired correctly. Because I have bypass. That means I'm plugged into my amp properly. When I bypass this, it's correct. Let's slowly and methodically look at this. When I remove this pot, it's noisy. I find that interesting. Let's see. Huh. Let's pull this capacitor out, plug it into another slot. We're going into this capacitor. From that capacitor to the base. I'm going to go back to this. So here's like some of my method. You know, let's unclutter, right? Let's unclutter the schematic. Let's do this. Also, there we go. Someone's saying output cap. No, I have the output cap on there. I'm reading your comments because I actually think this is amazing. Does anyone notice? Wrong knob on the pot is really funny. I want to turn the big pot. Let's see. Tin horn effects. You can take output from collector emitter. It does matter. It'll work. One will be, it does matter. You'll have inverting or non-inverting. So I didn't read the rest of that comment, but I'm glad you're in here. I do have some signal. So I cleared my schematic and I'm going to just chomp through it part by part. There's something very ridiculous I'm doing because I think I slept 4 hours. You know what I'm talking about? All right, here we go. Collector to 9 volts. Found my problem. All right, my problem is instantly found. This is the collector line. I plugged this collector resistor in over here. It's dead. So there is the transistor is not getting any power. There we go. Yeah, all right. And let's see. There we go. Yeah, it sounds like garbage, but it's working. Let me double check. So if I did that, I might have done it again. Base to collector. Let's see here. The 2 and 2 2 is, you remember I said I'm putting in a 2 and 2 2. It's actually a backwards pin out. That's another thing. So let's do the let's do a 3904. Like 3904 is like the classic whatever, just a super simple transistor. Let's see. So yeah, all right, I got signal. Yeah, sounds really bad. Love that. That's okay though. I'm just double checking here. We're going into that base. We're going out. That emitter is touching ground, 680 ohm. Yeah, all right, I think we're working. Because when I turn it up, we have sounds really bad though. So let's change that. Let me make sure, because I grabbed a 47K. Sometimes you have the wrong stuff in the wrong drawers. That looks like a 47K. Let's come right off of that. Yeah, that's a gnarly sound. 2 meg 2. The remove that. Let me jumper the emitter. I'm glad you're getting to see this. This is helpful. So that's just like straight in. Yeah, there's something funky going on, y'all. I don't think it's my... See, you always have to be concerned with like, is it my setup? Is there a wire somewhere else off? Nobody's noticing anything. It's really, some of these comments are hilarious. Let's see here. No, the output cap's in the correct place. Let's change. Absolutely correct place. Yeah, there's a comment. It sounds like crossover distortion. Yeah, that's interesting. Yep. Let's undo that feedback resistor. I'm just kind of going through the circuit here. So let's undo that, the 2 meg 2. We're just going to walk through this. I'll go down to a 1 meg. That's probably where I would end up with germanium anyway. End up there. And this is the danger of live streams and why no one does them. But something psychotic in me enjoys it. So congratulations. Let's put that in here. That just sounds bad, y'all. That sounds real bad. Let's do an MPS A18, which is a much more high gain option. Let's plug it in here. That's wild. So my signal generator for my scope, it's going through fine. The guitar's going through fine. My bypass, that's my clean signal. There's definitely something funky here. Huh. We're going to figure this out. Is it the bearings? I love that. Self-destruct says, this is the stuff we love about your live streams. I enjoy that you love it. I'm fine with fail. Like, I don't have any problem with like problems or failure in front of people. I really like the humanity of it. It's just funny that this is enjoyable, because to me, it's like, oh, this is like, why would anyone watch this? Jeremy Irving says, this is me every time I try to breadboard. It is very, very intriguing here. What is going on? Let's move this ground here, which makes no sense, but we're going to try stuff. It's usually just loose things. We have a full signal there. Here's my other thing that I will do. I removed that output thing, right? That entire output thing. I'm going to get a long wire. Let's grab one out of the bin here. More of like a longer test wire like this. See this? And I'm going to connect to the output. And I'm going to jump over here straight to the cap. Sounds like garbage. Go straight to the go straight to the input. I mean, literally, like straight to the input. That is interesting, because I'm straight over here. Let's unhook the input from the breadboard. I'm touching the jacks together. Okay, so it is definitely in the circuit path. So what do? Well, let me show you what I'll do. I'm going to rebuild it again. This is exactly what you have to do. So instead of being like super discouraged or like bummed out, let's just pull this apart, literally. Put our parts kind of right here in a line. Stop overthinking it. And just build it again. It's totally fine. You can rebuild it quicker than you can mess with it, right? And let's build it one more time. All right. And let's simplify like the absolute crap out of it. Capacitor straight into that jack. Okay, there's our input capacitor. Okay, now we're gonna go to the base of that collector, or the base of that transistor. Let's put the transistor right over here. Let's go ahead and spread it out like that. So there's our transistor. Let's take a jumper wire from that input capacitor and go to the base. Let's take this feedback resistor, the 1 meg now. I'm going to clip it because I want it to look a little bit better. So let's clip it off. So best advice to many of you is just start over sometimes, especially when a circuit's this small. Just start over. Measure the resistors, make sure they're correct. I mean, I'm looking at the color codes. They look correct, but you know, we'll see. put that jumper, the little feedback resistor in here. So I'm connecting the base and the collector together with that 1 meg. All right. I have the 47K, and I'm going to come off of the collector, and we're going to go straight to the power. Okay. So straight to power. Done. Then I'm going to take the 680, it's actually 630. I don't have a 680. So 630 from the emitter to ground. Done. The other cap right off the same collector, and I see my problem. I see what I did. I normally wire it the other way. The output actually, okay. Someone actually said this. I think another pedal builder was like, hey, your output is off the, maybe they said this. I didn't come off the collector. I was coming off the emitter. Let me show you. That's my mistake. So I just learned it from building it again. I was trying to learn from my mistake, everyone. I was trying to take that leg of that capacitor off of the emitter side, which is totally insane. I don't know what I was doing. You know, here's the other thing. None of you are having to live stream, worry about a switcher, worry about audio levels, look at a chat, you know, so your chances are much better off. I feel like I'm running in the Olympics here a little bit. So we'll have audio now. I will bet a Klon Centaur that this will work. That's bold. That is bold. That is really bold. I'm going to regret that. I'm betting a Klon Centaur. Klon Centaur. All right, let's go to ground. That should fire the chat up. Oops. Here we go. I love all the you're doing greats. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's pull. Let's look and just, while we're here, stick this in the collector. It's going to be there anyway. That's my bias. It works, but it sounds like garbage. I wonder if the breadboard is weird or something. That's really strange. Really strange, everyone. Klon Centaurs for everyone in the chat. Let's see here. Double checking this. We had signal, so it technically worked. Here we go. It is a little weird that that's biased at that voltage. It should say something very different. That is so bizarre. Let's do a 4.7K. Let's drop it way down. Way down. 4.7K bias. Let's see here. I should rename this Troubleshooting. Yeah, it's just like, oh, I wired that backwards. That's funny. So it does work. It does work, everybody. I put my ground off the wrong one on the potentiometer. All right, we're now golden. My Lord, what a rodeo. Let's put that 47K back so you have reference on the schematic. You know, I don't regret what just happened, because as a teacher, the best thing you can do is show people how to get out of a problem. So I'm here for that all day. You know what I mean? So, whatever. If you enjoyed what just happened, let me know in the chat, because I always have a hard time believing anyone wants to watch anyone fix something. There we go. All right. Good news is we're only like 40 minutes in. I have almost an hour left, so we're great. You just got to take a drink of your Waterloo Ginger Citrus Twist. All right. All right, so it works. Let's add the clipping diodes. When we look at the schematic, I just want to insert these diodes here. I'm not going to overthink this. I'm going to put two 1N4 in. That's all I'm going to do. We're not going to do anything crazy. We're just going to come right off this output right here. Make it real simple and just attach these to ground in opposite directions. Okay. Again, we're not overthinking. We're just putting them in. This is going to add clipping distortion. Okay. That's all that's going to do. So that's like a bone stock version of this schematic. All right. Now, the reason we're here, whether you like it or not, because this is part of the course, I chose to teach you how to do germanium. So what do we do with germanium? Well, again, it has one major rule. It needs to be an NPN transistor. If it's an NPN, you can pop it right in. That rhymes. If it's an NPN, you can pop it right in. So what we want to do here, you know, if I take a pen and just like scribble white over this, we can't use a 2N3904, right? So we're going to put some type of germanium in here, germ, all right? So how do I approach this? Well, there's a couple things, and according to how much time I end up having, you might see them all, you might not see them all. So what really matters in this circuit is this circuit is so simple. Your signal path is traveling through here, hits the base, out of the collector, inverting, goes through that into the output. This clips the signal. So remember, these take volume. They take away your volume. So that's an initial issue with this circuit. You need some power. You can't put really weak transistors in here. The other thing is this whole section here, there's a thing going on with impedances. Now, if you look at the Uncle Tone Daddy, whatever I called it, where's it at? Yeah, if you look at this, for this to work properly, notice the circuit is here. That's that whole pre-emphasis control. If for that to work properly, we really need we need a transistor with some strength. So germanium transistors are problematic because they tend to be lower gain. So let's look at a few. We have my DCA here. And here's what I've done with the DCA. This is a must for anybody. I connected those little breadboard jumpers to the ends. It has little squeeze on ends. I just connected the jumper wires. See that? It's a little hard to see, but you get the point. I connected little jumper wires. So I'm going to plug my DCA right into the board. I'm going to use this section here, and I'm going to plug in the blue. I'm going to plug in the red. And this is going to let me just stick transistors on my board in a spot that's like not in the circuit. And I'm going to test them in real time, and you'll see the screen. So bend it down a little bit. There we go. Let's give it a little angle. I'm going to hit a button and we're going to roll. So what I want to try first, a really good possible candidate for this that is cheap. You can find these all over the internet. The Soviet Union made a lot of stuff in the 80s and 90s. This is called a 38A, okay? An MN38A. MN38A. It looks a little bit like a spaceship. These are Soviet, MN38A. Okay, this is a great candidate for this circuit. Usually, I have a few thousand of these. So let's plug it in, hit start. What do we got here? We have a NPN germanium, and we have an HFE, that's the gain. That's what I'm going to be focusing on. 94. Okay, we have 94. Let's see what it sounds like, just popping it directly in. Before I do that, though, I want to plug this back up now that it works. I have this multimeter set to voltage. I have one leg in the ground and one leg on the collector. That's going to tell me what the bias is set to. Okay, let's turn it back on. And 0.890. 0.890. So that glare is really great, isn't it? Let's tilt this up here a little bit. I love a good glare right where you're trying. There we go. So that is right there on the collector. And I don't like that. Like, I don't like where that's putting that. That is caused by this resistor right here, the 47K. So I actually want to put a trim pot here today. So I'm going to put a trim pot because I can move that and I can explore the different voltages. Okay. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to go here for right now. I'm going to unplug this and I'm going to pull this 47K out. I'm not going to use a fixed resistor here. You've already seen me do this on the LPB1. I'm not going to use a fixed resistor here. I'm going to put a trim pot in. And all I'm going to do is put like, let's put 100K linear. Let's just throw 100K down. Let's like place it. Conveniently, I put the transistor tester lugs where I would probably put that. Let's move those over here so I have a little bit more space. Let's put our transistor tester on the other side like that. Okay. Love that radio frequency coming in. Okay. So, yeah. It gives us a little tilt as well. Perfect. Let's put this pot right here. That's just 100K. All right, I'm not going to worry about a knob because it's more of a control. My gosh, that glare is so hideous. Why is it glaring? Like, it's glaring like it has never glared before. Pure glare, unadulterated glare. That is unbelievable. I've never had it glare. But we're full send glare right now. Full send glare, my favorite Brit rock band. That'll do. No, it won't. It's driving me crazy. I'm one of those people that things drive me crazy and I just can't move on. I get really fixated. Until I fix the glare, you're not going to see anything beneficial. There we go. A little roll of painter's tape saved the day. Perfect. All right, see this 100K? Let's come off the collector. Plug it in at the collector. Put it into any lug, doesn't matter, nobody cares. And come off the middle lug. Put it on either outside lug. Come off the middle lug and just go to the power down here. And now, let's see. That works horribly. Let's see. I feel like I'm plagued with electronics demons today. Let's see. Here we go. It's plugged in. It's plugged in. The power came loose, y'all. That's really funny. There we go. We should be seeing on the multimeter a variance when I go here. What in the world? This is hilarious. I don't want millivolts. Life is hard. Life is hard. Oh, I don't have it plugged up. Y'all. I didn't even plug the power side into the collector. My lord. My lord. Hold on. I don't have the meltdown stinger. Yeah. There has to be... Where's the meltdown stinger? Where is it at? It's not in here. It's not even in my stinger. Yeah. It's time to see Josh have a meltdown. That's where I'm at. All right. We're going to conquer this together. Here we go. Put that back in the collector spot. Plug that in. Okay. The collector's getting 9.3 volts. As I turn this, it adjusts. See? Pretty simple stuff. You want to start with a bias of 4.5 volts. That's the operational point for any transistor in this circuit. So to look at that on this scale, let's do this. Okay, so you're wanting to insert casually right here. You want your multimeter positive there, and then you want your multimeter ground anywhere, like, right? It doesn't matter, just any point of ground. So that's what I'm doing. And when you look down at it, I have it at 4.5 volts. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. What does it sound like? Let's listen to that bias. Let's listen to less voltage. I'm going to turn my microphone off that I talk with, and I'm going to just play and let you look at the number. The corresponding number is going to have a different sound. That's why in certain designs, and you saw me with the LPB1 and this prior episodes, this is a good gain control. You'll hear some static, but Zach Vex taught us crackle okay. It's fine. That's what's going on there. So I'm going to turn this and you're going to hear it. But I'm going to land it at 4.5 and move on. But I want you to hear it. So what you're kind of noticing there is a transistor has a turn on point where it turns on. If you see me getting like, right, it's like nothing's happening. As I turn this, it turns on around 7 volts. Now it's going to be the cleanest there. It's getting more voltage, so it's cleaner. As I keep going down, the transistor just gets hotter and hotter. It's like actually pushing and pushing the potential of the transistor. When you go all the way down, you're giving it... You're kind of punishing that transistor. And what you essentially have happening is a relationship. And if you remember in one of these episodes, I'm going to use the color yellow. Nope, don't like yellow. Pink. the color pink here, there is a potential relationship between that flow. The collector resistor and the emitter resistor create, the best way to say it is a ladder of potential. And that ladder of potential can be adjusted best by just adjusting the collector. And that gives you the dirty, more or less voltage, higher gain, like cleaner, more voltage, whatever. It's a ladder of potential. It's a shifting scale of potential. All right, let's insert a germanium that's at 100 HFE. First of all, for some context, what is this silicon at? The glare is unbearable. It's killing me, y'all. It's killing me. That's 1,000 HFE because it's a Darlington. That's a MPS A18, right? So that's 1,000. Big numbers, 1,000. So I'm taking a transistor that's completely, it's 10 times more gain than this germanium I'm about to insert. What's going to happen? All right, let's put it in here. Let's see what's going to happen. Will we all cry together? I don't know. Let's see. It's immediately different. Let's do a little experiment. I have this down all the way, 0.168. All the way up. Where does it turn on? It turns on much sooner. I'm almost getting sound at 9 volts. Let's pull that out. This MPS A18, which is a great transistor, by the way, for this circuit, because it's just raw. It's just rowdy. Watch what happens here. So much different. It dropped down 3 volts. It's handling it very differently. 0.7. I can't even get it that low. So these are very different devices, okay? And you have to tune them accordingly, especially germanium. The germanium is so stinking finicky. But that sounds killer, right? So, like, we want this sound. With germanium, when I do this with the silicon, it sounds cool. But with the germanium, because the germanium is such a lo-fi part, and it actually fails in a more organic way, like valve tubes do. It's just, you know. People are asking about the values. This is what I'm doing. I mean, I have two 1N418 clipping diodes. I don't have the germanium in. I'm pretty much doing this exactly. Those values, you know, I'm using 0.1 caps all around. Somebody asked. So that sounds great. That is a really great sounding circuit. I mean, it's really great. What would I change with that? Well, the bias, obviously. So notice I'm going this way. I'm losing some volume, but I'm gaining some clarity. So there's trade-offs. The potentials have trade-offs. All right, so some thoughts here. With this circuit, you know, there's all kinds of advice I can give you. Number one is I would not fool with any NPN germanium under 100 gain. I wouldn't do it, because when you get into wanting to use, like if you're going to use this, which is absolutely going to be in my final version, it's just not going to work well. It's not going to have enough gain. The impedance is going to be wacky. It's not going to respond well to the sweep of certain controls. Just trust me on that. The other thing I would say that's interesting with germanium, you could technically, when we look over here at like this schematic, you could just remove the clipping diodes altogether and get germanium transistor clipping. And it sounds interesting. You don't necessarily, with a silicon transistor, it's not going to be great. Like, it's just going to sound like a clean boost, but the germanium, if you push it, turn that volume up, bias it a certain way, you can get some overdrive tones where you don't even need the clippers. So let's pull those out, right? So let's just remove them from the ground. So this is pure transistor. Here we go. You'll get all your volume back by not using the clippers, and you will have this germanium transistor clipping. It's really cool. It's not going to be smooth, but it's more powerful and it's interesting. You know, people, the DIYer, the classic DIYer sees this schematic, wants to build a circuit, doesn't understand how it works, and they absolutely go, oh, I gotta put diodes in. Well, no, you don't. Especially once you start learning that the germanium has a different sound and you can pop an NPN and just bias it any way you want. This is a fantastic pedal. Just make that a drive control. Put a 100K pot right here, and just, that's a distortion control. Like, check it out. It's great. Tons of headroom because the diodes aren't clamping down on the volume. Let's insert those diodes while I hit a string so you can start hearing kind of what they do. They just slightly, ever so slightly, add like just a little bit of smoothness because it's so much gain with the way I have this biased. So if I send a signal through here to run, oh, it helps if you hook the scope up. Man, I'm on fire today, y'all. I am like winning at life. Let's plug this up here. Let me hook the scope up. All right, so I am going to clip this right here on the input and clip this one just right here on the output, like such. Let's just put it, my desk is like peak craziness as well. So let's send that back through. Here we go. Some of you are falling asleep. You're just like, I'm out. This is great. I love this. All right, here we go. So let's see if we can look at it a little bit. Get it to be still, they say. Good luck with that. There we go. Come on now. Come on now. It is hilarious how this is acting. It's the thing where like it's acting this way when you're watching me. Here we go. There we go. Good boy. Good boy, Loscope. Good job. Let's turn that filter on. I know you all love this. I'm so sure that you love this noise. So there's a square wave. Remove diodes. That's what happens. The square waves, the diodes are essentially, that's without the diodes. Here's the diodes. It square waves it off. So can I get similar square wave without the diodes? Let's pull them and let's turn that knob all the way. So maximum, yeah, it's square on one side because that's that emitter, that's the collector resistor. Notice how one side is clipped off. That's because the transistor it's inverting the signal because we're coming out of the collector, and that's just how it clips. But what's beautiful here is the diodes, you can get a more even clipping. So it's kind of your choice. Now, that said, let's measure a few more transistors. This is really funny. Let me look at some comments here. I think that was the McDonald's theme song. Let's see, here we go. Nothing crazy going on. Let's try. So we had a 100 HFE with this one. I highly recommend the Soviet MN38A. It's a good one. Let's try something a little more bougie. Remember, they need to be NPN, so you can't use like, there's just certain famous transistors you're not going to be able to use. Like you can't put an AC128 in it. You can't put an OC75, right? You can't do that stuff. It's not going to work. Here's a weird Japanese transistor that I love. A D35-2 Toshiba. Let's pop it in here, measure it. What do we have? It's a lottery of gain. 211. 211, y'all. Not to be confused with 311. So let's pop it in here. Uh-oh. It works. All right. Of course it works. It's an NPN. So this is a Japanese Toshiba D35-2. Sounds like butt right there. I'll do the same thing. I'll turn this control and let you hear it. Wildly different underbias sound. That's why germanium is cool. That's why germanium's awesome. So this one's really weird. Listen to that. Focus on the sound and the number. I'm showing you that germanium is way weird and fun to play with. I don't have the diodes in either. It's pretty crazy. Let's pop those diodes in to evenly clip it. Still going to be hard clipping, but they smooth it out. All right, that's a great device, really great device. So far, Soviet MN38A, the D352 Japanese NPN. I have all kinds of goodies here. I mean, we could go for days. We're not going to go for days, but let's do some like American, like some kind of American Texas Instrument thing, because those are available. This is a 2N1304. It's, you know, classic American looking transistor. All right, let's try that. Let's measure it first. 2N1304. What do we got? Come on, peak. Give me the peak. I didn't plug it in correctly, so it says it's the diode. True. Transistors have diodes in them. That's a 112. Let's 1304, and it does sound really great. Let's try the 1306. Looks exactly the same for the most part. Let's measure the 1306. 230, y'all. 230. That's nice. That's a good transistor for this. The Texas Instrument 2N1306. Notice I plugged it in and the bias at off is like 0.2. All right, here we go. Play test. Clipping diodes engaged. Lot of volume. I mean, let's listen to my bypass amp. So the Soptic's a little crunchy. Not much though. It's still pretty clean. And on. I unplugged the output again. Here we go. Diodes are in it. It's doing a good clean boost. That's really good. Like, so that would be right. 4.8. Remember, you should technically, if you're being proper, you want like half supply voltage, so 4.5, 4.4. Listen to this. That's the bridge humbucker. Here's the neck humbucker. Here is neck and bridge humbucker together. Here is the single coil thing that's in the middle. It's like a Strat pickup in the middle. All right. I mean, we got a lot of gain and I'm in my basement and you hear a lot of humming, but watch the responsiveness of the volume control on my guitar. Where are we at? G? Yeah, there we go. The cleanup is like chef's kiss. Okay, so I went through 3 transistors. I could keep going a long time. I mean, they're all, this is the thing. Silicon absolutely has character. I love silicon. It is cleaner around the edges. It's more like, it's more predictable. It's more stable. It's, you can achieve greater results with it from a hi-fi standpoint. The germanium is a looser, more organic. It has a wildness to it. It's a little bit like that uncle none of us want to admit we have. You're not sure. You're like, it's measuring, but oh, just what's happening? And it's like, the room's a different temperature. What's happening? But it has a thing. It has a glue to it, a sonic glue that's really interesting. The only other things I would share with you about germanium. So number one, all you need is an NPN germanium of a gain of at least 100. In my opinion, HFE, I don't want the chunky letters, HFE 100 plus. That's my advice. You're just literally inserting it right there. You can choose to use diodes or not. You're going to get a different clipping, okay? And this with germaniums, it just really doesn't matter. You can actually remove it, but because a germanium already leaks. It already leaks between the base and the collector. there's a term called leakage. They already leak, so you don't have to worry about that. You can apply anything I've shown you in the last 11 episodes. That includes all of the mods from the LPB1, the Uncle Earl's Tone Daddy Precap blender control. All of that's up for grabs here. So that's all you got to do. Now, it took an hour and a half to show this because I troubleshot for 30 minutes, but I like that. I like that we took it back down, pulled out a fresh copper sound breadboard here, and I'm glad it worked that way. You want to bias at 4.5, or you want to either make this tone control that I made, and all I did is, if you want to do the distortion control you're seeing me do today, all you do is you just place a 100K pot here in that resistor position. That's all you have to do. And that's a great control. That to me is, it's hard to beat that. You can tinker, you can add any mods I've done on the LPB1 or anything you've seen me do on the Electra, but that's how you get a germanium to work. And some would laugh like, you could have just said that up front, but well, I wanted to show you the measurement technique with the DCA. I wanted to explain, you need to be over 100. I wanted to show you again, because it's been a while. I think it's been hours and hours since you saw me bias with a multimeter. Yeah, this has been great. I'm looking at some comments here. Let's see here. Panhead says, why does it hurt to poop? That's from the Q&A yesterday. You don't want to know. There's all kinds of great transistors, though. NPN Germanium. Just go to eBay, search NPN Germanium, and you'll see some stuff. They're not that expensive. You can spend a lot on stuff, but yeah, you can get some great stuff for a couple bucks. The 3 that I recommend are the 3 that I showed, and that would be these. Let's hone in on them here for you. I highly recommend the Texas Instrument 2N1306. That's what it looks like. I love that light is really fighting me there. 1306. There we go. 2N1306. I like that one a lot. I would then say the Soviet MN38A. It looks like a flying saucer. This is a really great one. Put my hand up here, maybe get some focus. These cameras are like, not today, Josh. We hate you. There you go. This looks like a flying saucer. That's great. And then I really, really recommend, I actually think it's Toshiba. I said Toshiba. I kind of doubt it. If you search D352, you'll see a Japanese made. If you type in D352 NPN Germanium, you'll see a Japanese made transistor. That's kind of, it looks like this silver. It looks like a can of beans shrunken down. So you have the UFO looking one, the can of beans one, and you have the Texas Instrument, which looks pretty much looks like that fake one here. There's other stuff too. You've got this crazy giant. This is the Chungus Soviet one. It's massive. Big one there. But there's all kinds of cool stuff you can use. All right. Remember to go to Copper Sound. This website has everything you could possibly need to peruse. Some really exciting news. The circuit that I gave away to the public, this circuit, the LPB1 booster driver fuzz. This is the finalized distortion boost fuzz that I gave away for free here on the first short circuit. They have completed the kit for this. I don't think it's available yet, but it's about to be a part of the DIY kit selection. So, you know, you can go in here and choose, there's your treble boost. You can go choose single transistor overdrive. The Electra we're doing now, all that's kind of in here, right? But yeah, silicon fuzz. So pretty cool. Go check those out. Also, there's a link in the description below for Wampler's class. I love how this is stuck here. Let's see. There's a link in the description for Wampler's class. There's a coupon code. He has an amazing course if you're into this stuff. I'm just repping that for him. He's a good friend and he knows what he's doing. So there's a more technical course here. Yeah, that's it. We're good. Thanks so much for hanging out. We went exactly an hour and a half. I kind of predicted it. If I hadn't have had the troubleshooting issues, it would have gone an hour. But we wouldn't be close friends, you know? You wouldn't have seen me crumble on the breadboard, and you wouldn't have found yourself with some visual of how you yourself could recover from disaster. So I'm excited for you. All right, it's family time here. I encourage everyone to have a wonderful night, continue tinkering, have a great time. I'll end on this. NPN germaniums, any of them work. You can ditch the 2 meg 2 if you want, play with different values. Put a potentiometer on that collector, 100K. Let you stare at this for a minute. Replace that right there with a 100K pot. If you want to screenshot this, choose not to do the diodes. That's perfectly fine. It sounds good. And yeah, play with those cap values right here and right here if you want more or less bass content. I've had a great time, everyone. Thank you so much. Thanks, Copper Sound. Thanks to everyone that hangs out for this long watching a nerd work on circuits. Bye-bye.